Away, what's up? I'm Dalin Oliver.
And I'm Carl Lewis.
And welcome to the Sports Podcast. That sounded lekker.
Yeah, that actually did. But let's get to the show.
Oh, you're going to go to the show? Okay.
We are recording now, though.
Oh, we're recording? So, okay. It's a better start than last week. Well, it's a better start than last week where we spoke over each other.
Yeah. I'll accept. I'll accept.
Okay. Fantastic. What's happening, ladies and gents? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, away from Mzansi to the world. Welcome to the Sports Podcast with myself, Dalin Oliver, and Carl Lewis. Louis, what's happening?
Hey, Dalin. I'm all good. Got some lekker topics today, so I'm really excited. Some listener questions as well, which is cool after we just had 1 week of this podcast. So, yeah, I'm feeling super motivated, to be very honest with you. And yeah. And you, how are you? Sorry, let me not make it about me.
No, it's always about you. Carl, I keep telling you this. You're the star of the show. Without Carl Lewis, there is no sports podcast. You must remember that. Okay. Without Carl Lewis, there is no Olympic records. Okay, you inspired Wade van Niekerk to run. And you inspired the likes of Cheslin Colby to play rugby. So to have you on this podcast is great. I'm lekker. Like I was telling you before we started, I love being creative and I love waking up in the morning with butterflies. And I happened to have that butterflies this morning when I knew we're recording. And that lets me know that this is a good thing. You know what I mean? So I'm really happy to be here with you.
No, me too. I mean, normally I'm hosting a podcast for work. And it's nice to be the one that's talking a bit more than usual, although I'm also the host here, but you know, it's me and you here, where it's just me alone for work.
I know. I don't know how you do that. Lockdown for 2 years, you're doing podcasts on your own. Do you not just wake up in the middle of the night and answer yourself with a random question? How are you? I'm fine. I slept well.
No, man, I have industry experts to speak about sport and obviously betting and things like that.
Okay.
So I'm not alone.
Okay, cool. I'm excited though. And I bet you, Carl Lewis, that this week's episode is going to be better than last week's episode because that's what we try to do. We want to improve. We got exciting topics. We got the big things we need to talk about, CSA's T20 challenge. We look forward to the weekend and interact with our awesome listeners. Tell us the juice of the topics before we get straight into it.
Okay, so once again, our one big thing, it's the Proteas. We have to talk about the Proteas. They're starting their second test match on Friday. Then some of the topics we need to talk about is the box in the Six Nations. Bakkies, I'll say Bakkies versus Eben. It's just light sparring with words. And then we're also going to touch on the CSA T20 challenge. And then some fantastic listener questions that's personally my favorite spot or section that I'm looking forward to. And then we look ahead to the weekend. What will we be watching? What will you be watching? All that jazz. So, yeah.
Magical stuff. Exciting times. Ladies and gents, start the drum roll. Start the horn. Give me some gears. I think it's time to start the podcast. Okay, we live. The big thing. Carl Lewis, one big thing. The Proteas second test. My genade. I honestly thought when I woke up in the middle of the night to watch us play New Zealand in Christchurch that I was seeing wrong. 95 all out, losing by an innings and 276 runs in the first test. We not only played in Christchurch, but I think our players need to go to church, to mosque, to shul, whatever holy place they need to go to. Even if they're atheists, find a place to be centered because, we can't play test cricket at this level and allow this to happen, man.
Yeah, I think realities came crashing down again or hit us once again. I think the India series was a good indication of what they can do. But in that same breath, I remember tweeting after the India series that batting remains the biggest problem in South African cricket and one series doesn't solve that. And I mean, that turns out to be true. Although in fairness, I did think I got carried away maybe. I mean, we both made day one predictions and both of us had, I think I had the Proteas on 230 odd for 4. And I mean, it was our second biggest loss in terms of margin since readmission. So, I mean, it was a proper hiding against a very organized New Zealand side, although they were out Trent Bolt and Kane Williamson. But I mean, there's so many areas that we can like touch on, don't you think? That needs improvement.
100%, bro. Like you mentioned, Kane Williamson and Trent Bolt, two gun players fulfilling batting, bowling departments, also senior campaigners. And then Matt Henry comes in and just has the performance of his lifetime with the ball. Like, what do we bring it
Yeah.
down to? Because we look at our top six, right? We got Alga, Markram, Van der Dussen, and Bavuma, supposed to be the experienced
Yes.
campaigners, with
Yeah.
Ervia making his debut and Hamza having a few caps to his name. But the scorecard just dismal. Is it application? Was the ball doing wonders? Like, what's that factor that Mark Boucher sits down with him in the change room and says, this is where we went wrong? Because it happened twice in 2 innings. It can't be by chance now.
Yeah. Look, this problem is deeply embedded in South African cricket. And I mean, we've had multiple batting coaches and nothing seems to solve this issue. And look, in fairness, it was a spicy wicket. It wasn't like a toss to lose. So the pitch was there, but still the application. And I mean, outside of the batting, we'll probably get to this at some stage, but I mean, it is limited time. We did drop catches in the double figures. That just can't happen.
352 catches. My genade.
That can't happen at international cricket, unfortunately. But I just want to speak about the batting again. It really is the single biggest problem in South African cricket. There is no big... Well, I mean, out the boardroom stuff, there's definitely issues there. But
we focus on the game, not the politics.
When it comes to on the field, like, this is a problem that needs to be sorted. Temba Bavuma is probably our best batsman.
He's been the most consistent with numbers.
Yes. But, the problem is you can also look at his stats and see he's only scored 1 century. So we're struggling in the Proteas. And, I mean, I love the fact that Bavuma's playing well. But, I mean, the rest of the guys, including him, we need to see now hundreds. We need hundreds from South African test match batsmen. This is like a non-negotiable. I must say we definitely missed Keegan Peterson. I mean, he's so fresh in international cricket, but I mean, there's this gaping hole with his calm demeanor and his technical ability. I think we desperately need him. And we can't have a go at Cyril Ervia. It's his first Blackie test.
First test. You have to feel for Ervia coming in under so much pressure, a social media spotlight, because Hamza's playing as well. Lots of people wanted Rickelton in. The numbers were speaking to Rickelton. Ervia comes in, who's been doing well at domestic level, and my genade, Carl Lewis just gets taken aback. But I also wanted to... Okay, so before I get into what I wanted to ask you, with Ervia, we must play him in the second test. We can't drop him.
Yeah, I think it's a bit unfair. I think it's really unfair to drop him. It would be. Look, and I agree with some people who are saying, the numbers really don't mess around when it comes to Rickelton. I mean, the man has been scoring runs.
Yes.
But if they went with the same side, yeah, okay. I'm a bit sad that Lungi and Gidi probably won't be fit. That's a big loss.
Massive loss.
Yeah, we actually need his consistency and his ability to get wickets. But Cyril Ervia, we can't drop. I mean, Aiden Markram got 2 wickets because we needed a spinner.
Do you know how irritated I was when I saw Markram bowling? And it pains me each time I see him bowling test match cricket, simply because I go, we have a world-class spinner in Keshav Maharaj. Play him. Don't take him with on tour as a postboy. He's good enough, and he's shown it over the series that he's played.
Yeah. Look, it will be a bold move to bring in Kesh. Bringing Kesh will either shorten our batting lineup.
What batting lineup, Cole?
That's true. That's also true.
Come on, man.
And then, I mean, even if you were replacing with one of the seamers, we need to have 4 seamers in New Zealand, unfortunately.
Yes.
But then you'd have to go to how they pick the side against India, where Calverain doesn't bat 7, but he bats 6. That's what I mean by shortening the lineup. Then you have your 4 seamers and Kesh. So they have some decisions to make. I don't know what the right decision is. Markram is test match career is on its last legs. It's now becoming undeniable that this man is just not performing at the level we need him to play. His one-day cricket, his white ball cricket has really picked up in the last year or two. But unfortunately, the red ball cricket, and I'm ready, after seeing Keegan Peterson and Marco Jansen perform so well against India, I'm ready to give new guys a chance to see how they do.
Yes.
I'm going to be like, let's have faith in the domestic cricket, which maybe isn't as strong as it used to be, but that's all over the world. But we need to back these guys if they're not back these guys playing domestic cricket to if guys aren't performing to put them in. Because I mean, look what happened. We found gems in Marco Jansen and Keegan Peterson. So I'm very open to us blooding some new people as it stands right now.
I love it. I'm in your corner and I agree. 4 things, though. The first thing, we spoke about this last week. It's Marco Jansen. I think each time Marco listens to our podcast, he says, but now why is Carl calling me Jansen? I love that you give him a nice southern suburbs squirrel / Woolies feel.
That's
also,
true.
Carl, don't you think South Africa has enough context to smuggle Keegan Peterson into New Zealand? Like, surely, we do the corruption thing well. Like, come on.
Yes, but just Jacinda Ardern, and they are hardcore. They do not mess around.
They are having a proper ship. In all serious now, before we get to the serious part, I also think maybe if Markram's his t-shirts weren't that tight, it would allow the blood circulation to go through to his forearms and make him concentrate more. I love you, Aiden, but please, we want you to score. Clinton Steerman, let's just look at him quickly. Test debut. Lines were very full, not as consistent as we would have liked him to be. Your thoughts?
Look, I like Clinton Steerman.
Yes.
It was his first game. And I am not of the sports watchers who want to make rash judgments after one game.
100%.
So I mean, we could potentially bring in Vian Mulder because he hasn't been bowling well. It's his batting that's the issue in that all-rounder spot. But I mean, I would think it's unfair to drop him, just like it would be for Cyril Eovier, unless Lungi and Gidi was back. Unless KP was back, unless KP is back, you take out Cyril Eovier. If Lungi and Gidi is back, you take out Clinton Steerman. Although, Luto Sapamla has been bowling really well domestically in the 4-day competition. And who knows how he might do on those pace-assisted wickets in New Zealand. But I like Clinton Steerman. He moves the ball a little off the deck, a little bit of Vern in him, but obviously lots of skills to learn.
Also a big fan of him. And I think the pressure's on Mark Boucher and his team over here to show what their way is and their mindset going forward, depending on how long they're in the job or not, to say, we trust consistency. We don't want players to get the opportunity and then panic about being dropped, because that affects mental well-being at the crease. You are a wreck. You can't perform under those conditions. We've got one more match left. So please, lads, let's come right.
Yeah.
Your thoughts.
Let's make some predictions for the second test. But let this be my last thing on the first test. But I just want to say that was one of the poorest performances. Bubble life is hard. Getting used to the time zones in New Zealand is hard. So maybe we can I'll give them some leeway, because it's not easy being in the bubble, no warm-up games, and straight into a test match against a very, very quality side. But I mean, there's just no excuses for our catching. There is absolutely no excuses, because I mean, perhaps if we held on to our catches in the first test, our bowlers could have got us out of some sort of a hole, and maybe our batsmen had some incentive to bat for some more time come the second innings. But yes, that was one of the worst performances by our South African side, and it's really disappointing after our hopes after the Indian series. But that's the last I'll say on that.
Oh no, I was just going to say, we got the wide column, a noble column. We should have a drop catch column. I'm not even being funny, just so that it can hurt you mentally when you look at it.
I think for statistics, that kind of statistic for us viewers would be so beneficial. It gives you a lot of context to what's happening in the game. Or even when they have the batter score, it could be dropped by so-and-so on 24, dropped by so-and-so on 57. That it will give great context to how the game's going. Because, I mean, it could have been a totally different story had these Oaks held on to their... Yeah, it's very frustrating.
482 looks very different with almost double figures drop catches, if not more. Yeah. I wasn't counting, but it was many. Okay, so your predictions, Carl Lewis. What's your thoughts? My prediction, very simple. South Africa, if we can make sure that we reach double figures in the first innings without even being sarcastic, because mentally that's a bump. We did not, but if you dismissed for 95 and Nelson, mentally you're screwed. You just got over 200 runs in 2 innings. So I think it's important to us, if we can bat 90 overs first innings. 90 overs first innings, we draw or the results in our favor. That's
Yes.
what I would like, and it's important for our guys to spend time at the crease. That's number one priority.
Yeah. I I also think the toss might be important for us. I'm worried if they send us into bat again on a green top. It would be great if we won the toss and maybe flipped it around. But in that same breath, New Zealand have the ability to score big first innings runs, so it could well backfire on us. I don't see how we can potentially win. Well, I see ways that we could win, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. To be very honest with you, I just don't have the confidence in this team as it stands right now. And yeah, I'm looking for a lot of redemption from certain players from this team as a whole. In actual fact, come Friday midnight or Thursday night midnight, or yeah.
Yes. Redemption. Let's hope they play lots of Bob Marley songs to make sure that all the redemption songs keep kicking. That's where we leave it. Carl Lewis with the big thing, the Proteas second test up against New Zealand. Next up, we need to talk about this. So much juicy topics. Let's go. All right, Louis. So things we need to talk about. Box in the Six Nations first up. Very interesting over here. TV rights deal, and according to contracts, initially we're supposed to be in the Rugby Championship till 2030, then brought down to 2025. Now the move saying, listen, we might be playing with our fellow countrymen of the lads who we're playing against in the United Rugby Championship. Interesting move, but it looks like it could be a really good financially viable one. SA Rugby, where's their brain? Where's your brain?
Listen, the box joining the Six Nations is a commercial success. I will predict this right now. Commercially, it's a massive success. Unfortunately, they'd have to do away with Italy, but I mean, now we can talk about 3 competitive fixtures every week in the Six Nations. However, the backlash from the Six Nations, the nations that have been part of this competition for years, it hasn't been good. They do not welcome us with open arms, and I can totally understand that. They have their history, they have their traditions. However, come 2025, rugby's calendar has not been sorted, and the future of rugby has not been sorted. So there is opportunity. So as much as there was press releases saying that South Africans are not joining the Six Nations, that can change very easily because rugby will be sorting out their calendar in the next few months, and so there's opportunity. I mean, our deal with the Rugby Championship, we are only committed till 2025. So with so much private equity in rugby as well. So you must remember there's a private equity firm, CVC, that has stakes in the Six Nations. I think it's Premiership Rugby and obviously the URC, which our teams are already involved with.
That's
so
correct,
they'll just be thinking about what makes commercial sense. And the box in the Six Nations makes absolute commercial sense. It's exciting for me. I think about it and I'm like, wow, okay, this will really be good. The times as well works for us.
Yeah.
However, I'm not sure it's in terms of sentiment, it's not there. It's not there. There isn't a will, a hunger from those teams to have us there.
Yeah. And you know what? They should break tradition because it's so important. I mean, we saw now the United Rugby Championship, how fantastic it is to see us not playing against our Southern Hemisphere sides and the Northern Hemisphere sides. Also, I don't want to be that, but Rugby Championship became kind of predictable in a sense where you go, okay, All Black Springboks, that's the big games. I don't want to badmouth Australian rugby, but I want to badmouth them. It hasn't been the same since, I'd say, a generation of Sterling, Mortlock, Matt Giteau, Krieger, them, that iconic generation. Argentina were always there. And then recently, they started playing better rugby. So to have the world champs playing in that space where financially it's more viable, surely. Why do they see us as such a threat, Lewis? Why?
Because we are world champions. We can potentially win this competition. We're not whipping boys like Italy. So it's going to be even tougher for the home nations. And I think if you want to talk about tradition, they have that argument as well. It's always been a European competition, blah, 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 blah. But I don't buy into that. I'm looking at what's commercially viable. But I will say this, the Rugby Championship is a fantastic competition. It has lost its luster, but we did lose to Australia twice last year. Let's not forget that. And also, I think if there's not a Springbok New Zealand match on the calendar every year,
It's not.
that will be a disaster for rugby. So if SA Rugby can sort out how we can play New Zealand in a cool test match series, maybe a 3-match test series every year, home and away, blah blah blah, that could be really cool. But I think that would be our biggest thing. We need to hold on to our match against the All Blacks, and that needs to be annual.
I agree with you. And when you say that, I automatically think about them coming here in August to play two matches. I think we're up in Nelspruit and then in Johannesburg. And I go, how good is this for rugby in South Africa? It's iconic and proper. I know I was against tradition and stuff, and I still am with the Six Nations because I just want to irritate the European stuff when they say nice things are only for Europeans. Get over yourselves. But the All Blacks and the Springboks are iconic. And Australian rugby, I still don't like you guys. I know that none of you listen to this. So just got Carl laughing. He's like, Dalin, don't throw shade. I'm like, Quade Cooper listens every third episode.
Quade Cooper does listen. And but they'll tell you, listen, we beat you guys last year. So they always have that on us. They do have that on us.
Yeah, and Quade played well. Okay, we're going to stick with rugby as we move to our next topic. Now, this is interesting for so many reasons. Okay, before we get into Bakkies and Eben leaving Toulon. He never spent too long over there from 2019 till now. Then the Sharks signed him. The Sharks got mad American money. But then Bakkies basically pulling such a number on Eben in terms of going, look, I played there. This is the standard. I don't want to put in so many words, but you didn't live up to that. And then Eben going full Goodwood in a tweet and replying, you have my number. Bruh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
No, it is a lot. And I was like, I saw Eben's tweet and I mean, I got scared. But
yes,
just to give context to this whole thing, and we don't have to spend a long time on it. But obviously, Bakkies, he also played for Toulon. And he played some of his best rugby for Toulon. So he's much loved there. And he's also has an affinity for the club. So we have to lay that groundwork first.
Yes.
Give context that him and the club, very good relationship. And he played very good rugby there. So this was a...
Before you get into the nitty-gritty of it, do you think Bakkies spoke French in an Afrikaans accent?
That's all. I don't know, actually. But I mean, his interview was to a French publication. And he basically said, Eben Etsebeth, incredible fighter, best second row in the world. He did say that. But I regret that he only shows his best face with the Springboks. In Toulon, he's still injured, concussed in the end, and never plays. Obviously, he's not made for France and will turn his back on the problems at the club to return to South Africa. And then, obviously, you spoke about his response. He atted Bakkies Botha. He said, noted. Next time you want to enforce an opinion, you've got my number. That's scary. So the one side, there's two sides to look at it. The one side is like, Bakkies just being, just kind of saying, just
not
speaking
being malicious.
Not being malicious and just speaking from a French club perspective. But there's this other side of me, this cheeky side that thinks Bakkie was having a little bit of a needle, because I can't remember what the tweet was, and I'll try and look for it. But he's had a slight little jab at Eben before over Twitter.
Okay.
He once called himself, I'm the real enforcer, when they were speaking about how Eben's the enforcer. So, I mean, for me personally, I think there is a little bit of tension. The evidence points to that way. So I'm saying there is a bit of tension. Who would win in the fight, though?
So this is what we need to do. We need to get them in the same room together, but we need Ashwin Willemse and Nas Botha there as well to conduct the interview. I just think that would be a vessel for many a fights in one room, that would be pure magic. But at the moment, Eben's biceps are the size of Cape Town. Oh my word. He is very strong. He's fearless. Bakkies was the same. From a muscle perspective, I don't think that Bakkies can compete with Eben. Even when he was in his prime. And just the mental space and fitness capacity of Eben now, he'll take him on. But head to head in their prime, you know what's going to happen? In the movies when they both knock each other out and they fall at the same time. It's equal gain. That's what's going to happen because both gun players in their prime, bro.
Yeah. Look, let us move on to our next topic in case we get bogged down by this topic.
Yes,
But
yes, yes.
in conclusion, I think there's a little beef there. There's a little beef.
Beef is good, especially in a world where we have so many vegans. Okay, we move to CSA's T20 challenge now. Carl Lewis confirmed top 4. Titans top spot, Province second, Dolphins third, Rocks fourth. Fantastic for Western Cape cricket. We've got 2 sides in the semi-finals. The fixture's not confirmed yet, but either or, we could have a trophy in the Western Cape, and we're happy about that. It's been a good tournament.
Yeah. No, it has been a good tournament. I think there's we highlighted one of the reasons it was a great tournament last week. Tristan Stubbs for the Warriors. Unfortunately, the Warriors did not make the semi-finals, but he is playing as we speak now, as we record this. So I'm sad that he won't be there.
Yes.
But, it's the Titans, Western Province, Paul Rocks, Dolphins. I must say that it's good to see a Western Province side winning again. Because this wasn't the case. I mean, as much as Ashwell Prince was creating these youngsters who are ready for international cricket, think of Calverain. I even think of Zubair Hamza,
George
Linder, David Bedingham. I will put in that list as well. Yes, Januman Malan. So Ashwell was doing the business in terms of development, but the results just weren't going their way. And now suddenly, under the new coach Snakes, Thalik Nakading, things are real. I mean, things are happening for them. Richard Levy's been an amazing signing, as a Dane Villas. Captain Wayne Parnell. I'm liking this version of Wayne Parnell, to be honest. I'm really liking it.
What you liking about him? Because he's in a really good space.
He's batting well. He's bowling well. Look, he was doing that before he left the Cobras. I remember he won like all the awards the one season, and then he went on his T20 journey. But I'm just like, he seems to know his game well. The team seems to be responding to him. Look, it always does help having the likes of Dane Villas and Richard Levy, who have been playing for a long time. But I think it's just, I mean, even the youngsters, I think we're forgetting the youngsters. Junaid Dawood.
Jonathan Bird, Yeah,
Junaid Dawood, as it stands, is like the top wicket taker in the tournament. His economy is less than 6. Now, for a leg spinner, that's really good. His strike rate is 12.5. So that means he's getting a wicket almost every 2 overs. So that's very exciting for him. Buren Hendricks, who is a phenomenal domestic player, it just hasn't worked out for him internationally, but he's doing well himself. And I do think there's a real chance that Western Province can win this. The Titans will always be strong, standard. But I think
every year.
Yeah, I just think there's potential here for Western Province to win. And you look at the most wickets. I told you, Junaid Dawood, your man. Well, not your man. I feel like he's more my man, but he went to the same school as you. Malusi Sibota, 11 wickets.
Yes, your former provincial teammate. Say that, man.
Yeah,
Coke Week in under 17, eh?
Yes, and under 19. Coke Week under 19 and under 17.
Lolly coming in with all the experience.
Sure, and he's one of the smartest bowlers in South African cricket. Then obviously most runs, Tristan Stubbs. Weirdly not, it's a Malan at the top, but not the Janeman. It's the other man, Peter Malan. So he's done really well.
Taking that captain mantle.
Before we move on to the next topic, Dalin, and I don't know what you have to say about the tournament. Other than Tristan Stubbs, Dewald Brevis, I'm struggling to see who with the T20 World Cup in mind, who else I could potentially get excited for to make that squad.
Van Buren played well, but in terms of knocking on the door and knocking it down into the T20 setup, he's gonna have to work hard.
He did.
There are some lads who hit a long ball. I like Miguel Pretorius. I'm a fan of him. I feel like he
can bowl as well.
Yeah, he adds nice value. But I think he's a wild card, and I hope he gets a chance somehow for Risco Adams, the Iceman. He finishes matches really well at times and steps up with the ball in really tough situations. If you look back at history, whether it's with Paul Knox or Blitz,
I just think he's gonna be the type of player that probably won't make his international debut.
Yes,
but he's just one of those domestic players you can rely on. Like he's the Iceman.
Yeah,
come pressure situation, he's there. Especially with the ball, he has a lot of tricks. So guys like him and Malusi Sibota, they perhaps won't make the Proteas side, but for me as a cricket fan, I see their value and see
Oh, we need
like
it. We need it.
how
We
good
can't.
they actually
We need
are.
it.
The other thing about that thing is the Proteas that affects the Proteas. It was good to see David Miller hit some sixes. His strike rate of 160 was really nice to see again. He hit 11 sixes in his 5 innings, whereas Tristan Stubbs, he hit 23 sixes in his 6 innings.
No
But,
pressure
yeah.
at all to Mark Boucher
Yeah.
to get Brevis and Stubbs into that squad, especially with Australia and the World Cup around the corner in October.
Yeah, look, I don't know how that squad makes up. I'm not saying that suddenly everyone must move out of the way for these 2 youngsters, but
No.
we need to take care of these guys because clearly there's an X factor here that's missing in
Yes.
South African white ball cricket.
Get them in the camp. That's the main thing. I always
Yeah.
look at England, Australia, New Zealand, for example. When these youngsters come into the side, they just dominate with runs or wickets. And I always go, South Africa is just as talented. Why can't we flip the switch?
Yeah.
And maybe this is the time to do it. COVID gave us a break. I don't know. Maybe we need a restart.
Yeah.
Okay, happy days. That's it from our side, ladies and gents, in terms of what's happening with stuff that we need to talk about. Now we move, before we go into what's happening in the weekend, the listeners' questions. Yes, guys, we've got listeners, millions. Let's hear what they have to say and ask. Carl Lewis, like I said, we've got millions of listeners throughout the world.
Can't believe that.
Great.
I
know.
Can't believe it.
Do you know what happened? Harry Kane retweeted our podcast after they beat City. So it was just like a big thing, you know?
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
It
so
does
we've got
make sense.
because you mentioned that you were Ipswich and Tottenham supporter. Just say yes. You know?
Yes,
Just say yes.
I am. Yeah.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, on a serious note, listeners' questions. First up, Jacob Small. I know Jacob's a massive sports fan. He's looking at tennis here. I say, Fabio Fognini, labeled next generation, but boring to watch. We want to discuss that. Secondly, when will they finally step out of the Federer, Nadal, and Novak's shadow? Your thoughts, Mr. Lewis. It's all about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the Australian Open kind of showed us is that the big 3 are still the big 3, and it's as much as there's so many talented youngsters. Fabio Fognini was supposed to be someone that kind of took over the mantle, but I mean, he's 34 now. We cannot expect anything from him. But I do feel as much as there's a next gen of players that aren't as good as Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, but there are a few names. You know, Dominic Thiem, I think he is a name that we need to consider post big 3. Alexander Zverev, Tsitsipas, and Daniel Medvedev. So these are the guys for me that have the best chance of carrying the mantle, taking it forward. Look, there's also there's some youngsters here that are still to make their mark outside of the 4 that I mentioned. Lorenzo Musetti, he's a 19-year-old Italian. Jensen Brooksby, 21-year-old American. And then there's Carlos Alcaraz, 18 from Spain. So the talent's there, but I mean, the bar has been set so high. There might be this next generation that where it's a bit more spread out, which perhaps tennis needs. The championships are a bit spread out, but I'm not sure out of this current bunch we'll see them reaching the heights of a Djokovic or a Nadal or a Federer. That's just, I think we just lived through a special time in tennis. Although, in fairness, I'm not a tennis expert and I would never claim to be, but this is just me as a sports fan. This is how I see the men's tennis terrain.
Yeah, they're gonna stop. They're gonna stop playing once their bones give in. They take the yellow magnesiums. You think you take a lot of slow mag? This brass take the yellow magnesium. Also, fun fact. This is a random fun fact. I didn't know there was a record for a tennis match to finish like the latest. So at the Mexican Open in this first round, you mentioned Brooksby and Zverev. They played against each other. The match finished at 4:55 a.m. It started. It was 3 hours and 20 minutes. Imagine playing, like I've seen Skirke in Salt River playing tennis like invisibly. But imagine that. You coming from the jewel call and you are serving aces.
Yeah.
Just a random one.
Yeah. That's great. Sorry. There was something I wanted to ask you.
Don't
No,
edit
no,
this
because
out. Leave it in. Leave it
no.
in. Leave it in.
No, there was something I wanted to ask you. Only recently did I find out about Slow Mag. So I bought Slow Mag, but I haven't
Okay.
used it yet because I asked my friend, like, if I was to have a hangover, like,
Yes.
would this work if I'm feeling a bit? And he says yes.
100%.
But do you use it?
I do use Slow Mag. You must remember I'm 33, vitality age 72 and a half now, right? Slow Mag
Yeah.
works fantastically. And this isn't a plug.
Okay.
We're not sponsored by them.
Yeah.
But just with, like, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I got stand-up comedy at night. And those in-between periods, I've really found it helps.
Yeah.
Also, I'm being another
Okay.
old man. You know what's good? Collagen, bruh. I know.
Collagen. Why? For what?
That's good for the bones and the recovery as well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when,
Noted.
when we're over the 30 period, it's all about looking after the body and preserving its longevity and making sure that we don't have back pain because the poop is pulling the back.
Yeah.
And I'm not even making fun. I'm being dick serious. I mean, I'm sure you've woken up with a stiff neck just because you sleep on the pillow.
Okay, I didn't.
Your
This
calf
is not a
muscle.
health podcast. This is not a health podcast. I literally asked you only about Slow Mag, and now you've taken 5 minutes to talk to me about bone density and calcium. No.
Okay. Back to the listeners' questions. It's a very good one here. We moved to the Premier League. Ashley Green. We played cricket against him for Malderton Cricket Club back in the day.
I went to school with him as well, yeah.
Oh, is he a sax boy?
And play cricket with him, yeah, he is.
Okay, lekker. So Ash wants to know, is it time for Klopp to let go of one of Liverpool's front three and cash in to make room for the future? What's your thoughts?
Phew, such a good question. And I don't think it's an easy question to answer. And I think there is not really a right answer. I think we might see one in hindsight. However, for me, logically looking at this, they're all kind of reaching the age of 30, 31 with 1 or 2 years left on their contract. I know Salah's looking for a huge contract that will shake up the Liverpool wage bill. And the way he's playing now, he probably deserves it. Then I go look at Sadio Mane. The man is still doing the business. I'm not sure if he's as dynamic as seasons past, but I still feel he can do a lot of things other players can't do. He can still score goals. He just led his nation to an AFCON. So I would probably keep him. Firmino is one of those guys who I used to defend. Yes, he wasn't scoring that many goals in his false nine position. So he would probably be the one I would let go. And the reason I say this is because Diego Jota has come into the team and showed that you can score goals from that false nine position, and he's come and done that. So I think if you have someone who's playing with Salah and Mane, who's also chipping in with goals, I mean, they're just going to score a ridiculous amount of goals. I wish I had the stat on how many goals the three of them have scored already. It's probably over 50 for the season or just under. So Firmino would be the one I let go. And considering that Jota is there, Luis Diaz, who's just been signed, he looks a fantastic player, if we're very honest. Just like Sadio Mane, very dynamic, quick, can beat people one-on-one. So to answer Ashley's question, I would get rid of Firmino and free up that space for someone younger. Or try and get in someone younger, which they have done in Luis Diaz. But if you're going to let someone like Firmino go, you should hopefully bring in another player.
Now, I'm going to throw a curveball into the next question from Darren Denver Jafter. Very good question. He says, is Liverpool only winning one title, in brackets, so far with this squad considered a failure?
Ooh. Superb question. But I can definitely say no. Even when City, not last year, the year before, I mean, Liverpool had a record number of points and they finished second. And, Alex Ferguson, he is the GOAT. But Alex Ferguson did not have to deal with Pep Guardiola with a massive bankroll. Chelsea with a massive bankroll. Okay, he did have to deal with that with Mourinho eventually. And now you've got, who's the other sides now? Now the other sides aren't even, Chelsea's playing well. There's Manchester City. There's Spurs who are suddenly
United.
Manchester United. Manchester United are there and they do have money themselves.
Yes.
Spurs have they finished second. So I think if you look at it, the Premier League has never been this competitive. And yes, as much as one title is not ideal for a group this talented, I mean, City have a squad that are much more expensive with a manager who has a bigger reputation. And for him to have won a Champions League as well, I think he's done very, very well. I watched their game against Inter last week, and I was just thinking, wow, Liverpool's squad is actually really good. They've got a great squad. But in that same breath, I also thought, but this is a machine of an absolute team. For 20 minutes, Inter had them. But for the rest of the time, Liverpool were in serious control. This Liverpool side is an outstanding unit and nearly as good as the Premier League winning side. I just think they're a fantastic unit, and they seem re-energized, reinvigorated, and you can see it's suddenly a title race again. But to answer that actual question, I don't think it's a failure. You have to look at it in context. They were poor last season, and that's after the title hangover. The year before that, they pushed City, for a long time, and they themselves scored record points. So in that context, I don't think it's a failure.
Carl Lewis, when you speak foreign, and when I say foreign, I mean sports. I like it. I like it a lot, my bro. It's like watching an uncle and an auntie jazz at the West End. You're just moving right across the whole dance floor. It's beautiful. Listen, Darren Jafter is very invested here. He is also asking your thoughts on which South African team will end top of the United Rugby Championship table. Very good one. I'm always going to be loyal to the Stormers, but I know you're the impartial facts man. What's happening?
Look, Stormers, as things stand, if you're not saying the Stormers, you haven't been watching. But the Stormers, as much as I've enjoyed what they've been doing, I'm still not convinced that they can keep this up. And the reason I say that, because before this great run that they've been on, I mean, they were shocking. So I feel that they got a bit more.
I could hear the passion of shocking in your voice.
Yeah.
Just flashbacks.
I mean, even this weekend, the Bulls, they're up against Zebre, who I think they should beat. Whereas the Stormers have Irish club Connacht. That's not going to be that easy.
Yes.
So
although they're from the Western Cape, so by default they've got the Connacht. The Connacht can get them perlemoen. The Connacht can get them food. I'm done being a child. Back to sports, Carl.
But yeah, so I mean, you look at the fixture list. Thereafter, there's some tough games for the Bulls and for the Stormers. But if I had to put my neck on the line, I'm going to say the Stormers, but not confidently. Not confidently. That's based on the recent evidence. I still feel with Jake White and with the squad that he has, the Bulls can still be a force. But yeah, let's just hope that John Dobson continues to select the side that he selected in their last game against the Sharks. Willems at 12, Mani Lebok at 10, Warwick Kalant at 15. That's what I want to see. But yeah, if I had to stick my neck out there, it's the Stormers.
Stick your neck out, Carl Lewis. Stick your neck out. Yeah. Listen, we're all about giving the people what they want on the sports podcast. We got 2 more questions. Darren Jafter asking really good questions. Proteas potential new coach. Mark Boucher under the pump, especially after the series.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we haven't really got stuck into the whole situation, but and obviously this is not. We don't have the time to get stuck in it.
Yes,
but I mean, his thing starts in May. He's a hearing or something. Proteas new coach. I don't think you can give it to. I don't think you can give it to 3 names. Okay,
give me 3 names, and then we're obviously going to have a dedicated episode where we speak about this is the main thing. But just let me hear where your mind's at. Even if it's 3 to 5, throw 5 names in there.
Jeff Tejana, definitely. I mean, he has a history of developing
players
youngsters.
And sides.
Yes, and the players love him. And then I am also not
and he's funny on Twitter. He's very funny on Twitter.
Yeah, he is. Perhaps Ashwell Prince. I think Ashwell Prince, he definitely has the mentality. But if you're going to judge him on actual results, then actual results with the Cape Cobras, then unfortunately it doesn't start looking that good. But if you look at his development side, that's when it looks good. But I wouldn't be ashamed for us to look for an overseas coach. I mean, especially if we're not comfortable with appointing a local coach. For me, the only one really that stands out is Jeff Tejana. And he's currently with the Titans. Enoch Inkwe, yes, he has the qualifications. But I don't think it would look good if he suddenly takes over from Boucher. Then it completely looks like a witch hunt that we want to get rid of Boucher and we want to get Inkwe in. And Inkwe himself, I feel, feels that way. So I would be looking at international coach, the likes of like Stephen Fleming, but he's obviously on the T20 circuit. He's been doing that for a long time with CSK and others, I think. My dream one would be Gary Kirsten, but I don't think he would take this job, considering everything that has been happening
Yes.
around CSA cricket. My dream hire would be Gary Kirsten. That is my guy. But realistically, and I wouldn't be angry with it if it was Jeff Tejana, because he's so good with players and he's a humble coach. He knows what he's doing. He's won stuff before. So that would be my local pick. My dream pick would be Gary Kirsten, and my overseas pick would be someone like Stephen Fleming.
One more name in the local ad that will be a shared position. Pitso Mosemane and Rassie Erasmus. I think they can fix SA Sport. What do you think? Can we let them coach?
Absolutely love those two. I love those two.
Yes, winning. Carl Lewis, final question before we wrap it up and say goodbye to our wonderful listeners. I like this question so much because this person is committed to it. Stefan Smedley or Smedley. Sorry if I pronounced your
Smedley.
name.
I think I might not. I think I might. I know Stefan Smedley. And
do you?
Did he ask a basketball question?
Yes, but this is such a gun question. He says, so okay. LeBron James is suggesting he'll play his final season of NBA with his son, Bronny. Right?
Yeah.
My neighbor's name is Bronny, but their full name is Bronwyn. Anyway, another long story. That's not part of this question. Which other father-son duos have played together or played in the same league at the same time? Your thoughts?
Oh. Did he ask that about that?
Yeah. But let's go on to LeBron's son, because I know you're following that as well.
Okay, the one that springs to mind is Ida Gudjonsson, the Icelandic guy who played for Chelsea, one of my favorite Chelsea players, technically brilliant. He played with his father. I know that. I'm not sure if Ian Wright and Sean Wright Phillips played, but I don't think, off the top of my head, I'm struggling to think of one. I'd love people to tweet us and tell us some father-son duos. But getting back to LeBron, yeah, fascinating thing, because he basically said his last season will be with his son Bronny, and he kind of didn't close the door on Cleveland, which is his hometown, and obviously where he won one NBA championship. And potentially how it seems now, Bron's son Bronny would be in the draft for 2024 or 2025. So basically what he's done, some great nepotism there. He's basically said, you draft my son, you get LeBron James. And LeBron James will be a free agent by then with the Lakers. So he'll be free. So money won't necessarily be a big thing. He's earned enough money as it is, but he can fit into a team salary cap if they draft his son. So I think this is just excellent.
Parenting.
Excellent. He's guaranteeing his son a job. And in that same breath, there'll be a lot of teams clamoring for that. Because LeBron and his Bron's son, they bring in their own thing to the local. They'll bring in numbers. They'll help the local economy. LeBron is a package deal. And at 37, in 2 years' time, I look at him in 39, he'll still be an athletic freak. He's playing wonderful basketball. He's still a fantastic basketball. He just plays on a very poor Lakers team right now, and a poorly constructed Lakers team. So for me, I find that very, very exciting and just great parenting from a parenthood perspective.
That's how you build generational wealth. I love it.
That's literally kind of what he's looking to do. A legacy and a legacy generation. Well, the generational wealth will definitely be there, because LeBron, his off the field stuff is just as potent as his on field stuff. He has his own production company. He has a variety of businesses. He creates his own content where he's always in charge of his narrative. He's a very smart dude. And the best thing he's done ever is creating the school in his hometown, where he gives all these kids a free education and they can go to college. Top education. I think what this guy is, I admire.
Change the game.
LeBron.
Yeah, he's
a
game changer.
LeBron James.
And
he really is.
It's not nepotism, because he's not a corrupt politician. There's good intentions with it. It's good. Also, before we wrap it up, Carl, a father-son combination who played great sports. I don't know if you know this. It was Rita and Uncle Vicky from Retreat. They were both electricians from the city of Cape Town. They played football together at Allenby Drive. But not many will know about that great legacy. But I'll get more facts for next week. Otherwise, our second episode, Carl Lewis, is officially done. Look at us.
Yep. We've done well. We've done well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's longer than what I expected, so we had to cut out the what to look for the weekend. But what I would look out for the weekend is there's some lekker Premier League action. I think the headline game is Chelsea versus Liverpool. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. And then there's also the URC. All four of our teams are in action. All four Stormers, Sharks. I'll be watching that. Then I'll actually play Mamelodi Sundowns, Pizza Mosimane. So
a
that's
reunion.
definitely, yeah, that's definitely something to watch. And then I think NBA is also returning this weekend. But yeah, that's probably what I'll keep an eye on. But yeah, great podcast, Dalin.
If I was you, I'd keep an eye on my door, which is your door, because I knock there every Saturday to come watch sports, but you never answer. Carl Lewis thinks I'm playing Talk Talkie. I just want to be his friend, watch sports with him, and get facts like this on match day. But he doesn't want to do that.
So if I like to watch sport,
I see you looking at me. I see you looking at me through the keel and the blinds, Carl Lewis. I see you.
I like to watch sport on my own. So if I'm watching sport with like one or if it's two people or more, then I'm treating it. Then I'm treating it as a social occasion and not a sports watching occasion. So that's why I like to be alone and watch.
No, Carl Lewis. No. Each time I came there, I smelled the braai and I saw 5 brass in the line. I could hear you cheering.
Never.
And I hear your one friend said, "Don't let Dalin in. His jokes are boring." I heard it, Carl Lewis.
Honestly, that is my golden rule for sport.
Yes.
I like to watch alone.
I hear you. Bro, we did well. Under an hour, I still think we're in the juicy spell. So great job. Yep. Fantastic working with you, man.
Sweet.
Likewise,
bro. I enjoyed it. I feel like it could have been easily been 2 hours.
Yes.
But let's hope that the Proteas do well this weekend.
Yes.
Let's see how Manchester United do against Atletico. By the time this is published, that game would have been played. But yeah, thanks again, Dalin. I love what we're doing here, bro.
I almost thought you said you love me because I love you, Carl Lewis, and I love all our listeners. Thank you so much for listening to the Sport Podcast. Have a lekker weekend. See you next week. Away.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Carl. Say goodbye, Carl.
Cheers. Bye. Bye, guys.